Welcome back to the Young Creatives podcast, guys. My name is Mikayla Anderson, and today we have somebody very special and very close to my heart. Today we're going to be having Sabrina Coyle with To Write Love on Her Arms. So welcome to the podcast, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Here at Revision Marketing Group, our team of young professionals get it. Created with youth in mind, we strive to educate, inspire, and promote authentic creativity across all job fields. This is Young Creatives.
So I've been following Taloha for a while now, and for people who don't know who you are or who Taloha is, do you want to explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So we are called To Write Love on Her Arms, and we are a nonprofit organization. We're dedicated to presenting hope and finding help for those who are struggling with depression, addiction, suicidal ideation, self-injury, but just mental health in general. I like to say that we are a bridge between the people and the mental health professionals, because we're not licensed professionals ourselves. But most of all, we just want to make mental health resources accessible to everyone, and just make it an easier process. But with that, we also want to instill that hope is real and help is real, and that everybody exists and for a reason, and that life is precious. So we're here to keep pushing that word forward and show that everybody is worth living for. So
that is so, I love that. And for those of you who've been following the Young Creatives podcast this far, you know, we've had a couple people to talk about different things involving suicidal ideation and different struggles that a lot of young adults go about. And so we're super excited to have Sabrina come on the podcast and shine some more light on it. But now that we know more about To Write Love on Her Arms, who is Sabrina Coyle, and what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so I am a graphic designer on our design team. And so any visuals you see associated with To Write Love, whether it's on social media or newsletter, and print, just anything visual and creative comes from our design team. And it's really cool because we all get a hand in creating that. And we are a team of 3 designers as of right now, and with a design intern too. So we're not a huge team, but we are a mighty team with the support of our entire Taloha family. But yeah, I would say we work on merchandise. We have an online store. So as you could see, between our t-shirts, accessories, just anything that we can really have our hands on and put it into the hands of the public. It helps forward the conversation of mental health and help destigmatize it. So it's a really cool thing to see somebody in a To Write Love t-shirt, or just any shirt that has a phrase on it that is, hopeful. And, somebody could see that walking from, 10 feet away, and they're like, wow, I've really needed to read that today. And it just helps start that conversation, like, hey, where'd you get your shirt? Like, what does that mean? And so, if we can have, our followers, our supporters help us push forward the idea of what To Write Love represents, then it's just going to further help us destigmatize the conversation around it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's super cool. And the biggest thing with To Write Love on Her Arms, I think it takes just, how do I explain it? I think with mental health and different struggles that our people are going through, it's really hard to create graphics and just different assets that aren't necessarily intimidating, or just something that doesn't scream hey, this is a scary conversation. And so with you creating those digital assets in your team, how does that look like? And how do you guys come up with those ideas? And yeah, so how does that happen?
No, that's a great question, because being creative and talking about such a heavy subject, can be challenging. But also, even though it is a heavy subject, primarily, like I said, we want to instill hope in people and show that, taking care of yourself, besides from a physical aspect, but with your mental health, doesn't have to be, always such a scary, heavy thing to deal with. Just the bare thing is just being able to do things that make you feel good. That's also part of mental health. There is depression, there is, different mental disabilities, but also it doesn't have to be, it's not a bad thing. There is this idea that mental health is a bad conversation. It's not. It's a spectrum. And when it comes to the creative process, we really get to think about that as well. How do we create and make it a more positive view, to make that conversation less, I guess, intimidating.
Right.
But there are things that we do have to consider when we are working in the creative process. There are certain triggers that we have to, visual triggers to avoid. I think designers in general don't necessarily have to consider that, but things such as parallel lines, the color red is one that we avoid, and just making sure that taking careful consideration to how our supporters might interpret a design. For example, there is a design that we have called El Tigre that has a tiger in it. And part of the conversation before releasing that was, tigers can be aggressive animals, but we did release it because, they aren't just, aggressive animals, they're beautiful animals and they have a purpose in the world. And that kind of translate into the conversation of mental health. It can be a beautiful conversation. It doesn't have to always just be this scary thing. And so that's part of something I think about when designing is how can I make this, more come off as more of a human and beautiful thing, because that is part of the human condition, is that we have, mental health. It doesn't have to be bad or good all the time. It can be a spectrum. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's super, super important. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I can only imagine that you guys have to keep in mind. And for myself, working with small businesses, I have some barriers, but definitely not some things that you guys have to think about on a daily basis with sensitivity and just being mindful of those different things. And so, yeah. So, Sabrina, how did you hear about Taloha, and how did you get involved with them, and what's your passion behind mental health? I know that was a lot of questions, and so
no, it's okay.
Start wherever you feel.
Yeah, no, I first found out about Try Love on Her Arms when I was in high school, actually. And when I'm behind the booth, that's actually an answer we get a lot. When did you hear about us? Oh, back in high school, back in middle school. So I actually went to a chapter event at the local college near where I live. And it was a acoustic show. I knew nothing about To Write Love. I was just ooh, free show, I'm going to go. And it was the lead singer from Thrice playing. So I was that's really cool. And so before that, yeah, I knew nothing about it. And so I just remember the logo, and a friend of mine at the time had a t-shirt that just had the title on it. And that, I don't know, that was always ingrained into my brain. And then when I went to college, I remember we had a chapter. And once again, we had a free show on campus, and I went in, and I want to say, I think Chad Moses was there. He's on staff. He's our events director. And he was speaking about the organization. I was wow, there's a lot more to this. And I guess years later, probably a couple years after I graduated college, I found myself living in Melbourne, just kind of freelancing, enjoying beach life on another coast. And I was like, all right, I'm kind of over freelancing. I'd really like to get back into working with the team again. Because I have a background in advertising. So I was previously working at different agencies with the team. So I saw that Try It Love was hiring and that they happened to be located in Melbourne, Florida. I was like, this is so uncanny. Like, what are the odds? So I don't know. It kind of felt like a fate type situation, like this was meant to be. And as far as like, my passion for mental health, it started mainly as a passion for nonprofit work, being able to use my skills to do good and work with people who are trying to make the world a better place is like very close to my heart. Because I was part of a advertising chapter called Add to Tampa Bay, and part of that was working in the public service department. So we create like pro bono campaigns for local nonprofits. And so that's where I initially really just fell in love with doing that kind of work. And so it was just like perfect to, work with Try It Love as a nonprofit, but also, designing really cool merch. Because I love, designing t-shirts and screen printing. It was just like this combination of things that was great. And as far as mental health, like I have struggled with my own mental health since I was a teenager. And I really didn't know what to do. When I was a teenager, I was very like intimidated by the idea of like talking to a therapist. Even into college, I tried and it was still a scary thing for me. And I was feeling pretty lost. And, I finally kind of understood that process of like allowing a third party to like help get into your mind and help you think about things you normally don't. And just also doing things to take care of yourself that helps not just your physical health, like working out is also a great like thing for your brain. And so I was like, wow, this is like a whole game changer for me. And so working with Try It Love for the past 3 years has really like helped me understand just how my brain thinks, how, others, how to talk to others who are struggling, and just really have more of an appreciation for the work that we do, especially talking to supporters at events and just hearing them say like, you guys saved my life. Like I didn't know what to do and I found you guys and now I'm here. That's like such a powerful thing to hear. And it truly, like, I feel that way too. Like, I feel like Try It Love, changed my life for the better. And to be working for them and to be a part of that, to help others find, that sense of relief and, potential for the future is just, it's like a full circle feeling for me, I guess. But that was a lot, but let me know if I missed anything.
No, that was great. And like, that was super authentic and I absolutely loved it. And so you talked about like your mental health, like struggles as like you were a teen and getting into like To Write Love on Your Arms, whether it be like your first early days or months or however long, what has being with the organization taught you about like your own mental struggles and just being able to like take that with a grain of salt and just being like, okay, like this is okay, like I'm going to be okay and I can teach others that it's going to be okay. And did you have like a realization moment, like just like in the movies, how they have it?
Honestly,
something along those lines?
Yes. I feel like I really did. So when I started with To Write Love, I had such bad imposter syndrome. I was just like, one, how did they like, why did they pick me? I'm not good enough. Like, but most of all, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not okay. Like I have a lot that I need to deal with personally. Like I mean, at the time I was dealing with depression, definitely anxiety. And I was so scared that I was going to get fired because I was like, how did they hire somebody like me that is like, you have to like have stable mental health in order to like, work with, these heavy subjects and to, talk to people that are asking us for help. And I was like, they're going to find out that I'm not okay. And then I realized just getting to know my coworkers and stuff that like, no one's perfect. No one has perfect like mental health. And really like a lot of people on staff have a story, have this journey, their mental health journey that they've gone through that has like brought them into this organization. So I realized like we are the people that we're trying to help, and we are the people that have been helped and continue to be helped. And now I find comfort in that because I feel like, I can relate to a lot of people because I've gone through, some trauma, and I am still like working through that, but I know that it's going to be okay. I know that it's okay to like have bad days and, not be 100%, and to have a team that backs me up with that is just amazing. Like, sometimes it does get heavy. Like sometimes the subjects are like hit really close to home and I need to step back and, kind of work through that. But, my team understands like we're all there. Even through like, our internship, like we train our interns to understand how to respond. They go through like the info accounts and sometimes talk directly to people who are asking us some pretty heavy things, and to come in and answer questions that do hit so close to home. It's like it is kind of comforting to understand from a personal standpoint that like I get that, like I get like not being able to get out of bed for 2 weeks straight, and I also get that you will be able to get up, even if it's just to get like a glass of water, go to the bathroom. The fact is that you will make that first step when you're ready. And but most of all, I was like, now I'm finally 3 years later, I'm like, this is where I'm meant to be, and I'm not an imposter after all. Like it feels very natural for me now. So yeah.
How do you maintain your creativity when you struggle with your mental health then?
That is a good question, because sometimes it is super hard. Like, there have been times where I am like, I have nothing. Like burnout is totally real. Like I said, we're a team of 3 designers and we're an international organization. So it can be a lot. Right. I definitely, lean on my like Taloha family and just try to be honest about how I'm feeling, or if I'm not feeling like I want to share, like take a day, like I'll take a personal day if I need to. But I really try to also use it as a way to like change my mentality or my thinking creatively when I'm designing, like what's something that's going to make me feel good. Because while we are like creating for, our supporters for the organization, it's also like because we are supporters of the organization, I try to think about that from that perspective. Like, what's something that would like make my day to see, and that will help a lot. But yeah, if I need to like take a personal day, if I just need to like, something's not working out on a project and I just need to walk away from it for a little bit, I'll do that. And I'll take some time to either decompress and think about like, okay, have I eaten today? Like, what do I just need to like close my eyes for a little bit? And I feel like for me personally, the worst thing I could do is be like, is to tell myself I can't do it. And for a while, that was what I would think. I would think like, again, the imposter syndrome was so real and is still real sometimes. Like, but instead of saying like, I can't do this, I'll try to say to myself like, okay, right now this isn't like coming to fruition. So what can I do instead to kind of get, my creative juices flowing, or at least like kind of pick me up? Like, what are my personal ways of like picking myself up? And for me, like music is a big thing, like just listening to different, like a certain type of music. Like I like all kinds of stuff, but I'll listen to, I really love like the 60s and 70s, like funk and rock, like Grateful Dead. And just that'll kind of just get me into like a really great mood. Lizzo definitely puts me there too. So it's my girl.
Absolutely. Shout out to Lizzo. Yeah. She's listening.
Love her.
Oh my gosh. So working for like a creative team to write Love on Our Arms, how have you been able to stay creative when you're going like through your own mental health struggles? And like, how does that look like with like your team? Are you able to like openly talk about it? And like, yeah, like how does that work?
Yeah. So, I mean, luckily with my team, like we are a family, I feel so fortunate to work with the team that I have, because again, like we've all been through different experiences in life, and because we're in this work, like we understand like, there are ways that we need to like navigate things. So, I'm just really grateful that I can talk to, my creative director. I can talk to, just my co-designers, like about like, I'm feeling this way, like it's been really hard, and just kind of vent if I need to. I know that's not a common thing in a lot of, especially like corporate atmospheres. And I'm really hoping that's something that will change because, not everybody wants to share like very personal things. And again, like in my circumstance, I can, but also it just is nice to be able to trust those that I work with and to know that they got my back and they hear me out. So yeah.
Right. No, that's awesome. And like, yeah, because like transparency is like all that you can do, like all that you can really talk about, and just being honest with people. Because I know, so I guess let's see. So for people who are in a work setting where they feel like they can't be honest about like how they're feeling, whether it be like super stressed out about like the work they're receiving or something personal is going on in their life, and whether they're scared to talk to their employer or don't feel comfortable with talking to a supervisor or whomever about it, and they know that they need to seek help, what would you say to those people, or like what advice would you give those types of people?
Right. So yeah, because that is such a common thing, and it's really hard to feel like you can open up about just like, I am super overwhelmed with my workload. In some companies that could translate into like, they're going to think I'm not productive enough. And, I feel like one of the constant struggles is associating your worth with how productive you are. And it's really just a mentality to try to get out of, because everybody is, has worth. Everybody should always maintain self-worth as best as you can. But also, like when you're really like just feeling burnt out, it can lead to a lot of different emotions, and to know what to do in that moment or to think clearly can be hard. So I'd say if you have, a trusted friend or family member that you can just like talk to and express how you're feeling, and also kind of create like maybe a personal plan when you do feel that way of like things you can do, kind of a toolkit of what will help you get through this. If you feel that you can't, talk to your immediate supervisor about, at least work-related things. Like if you're overwhelmed with the amount of work you're doing, or you feel like this thing, like I'm just not getting it right now, ask for support. It's not going to make you less worthy for asking for help. They say there's no stupid questions. There really aren't. Like you're not going to be, you're not going to be at your best if you're not setting yourself up to ask those questions and to have that transparency. You're not going to grow if you don't, realize that like I am a human, that, I have the desire to learn and to better myself. And in order to do that, I need that support from my coworkers, my colleagues, my supervisors. And, if they're not willing to give that to you, you have to ask yourself, is this the right place for me? It's important. I know that in this, current climate, it can be really hard to, get through work when it's like, that's the thing that you need a paycheck. Right. And so if you find yourself in a place where you're ultimately happy and you feel comfortable enough to, talk to your colleagues, then like hold on to that. That's a big deal. But if that's not realistic for some people, like I know it's not always realistic, and you can't get that support in your workplace, then, have a plan together of like who you can talk to. Obviously To Write Love has resources specifically for that. And I'm hoping anybody listening, reaches out if they need that. And because we are 100% like here to be that support, for anybody who isn't getting that in their workplace or in their, from their community circle, because we'll be that. We will be those people for you. So yeah, just knowing that like I don't have to hide that, whether I have things going on in my personal life or perhaps I'm just feeling like really burnt out from, campaigns or just the holiday season, because it can be just a lot. It's just good that I can lean on, my coworkers and say like, guys, like I don't even want to apologize, because it's a normal part of life. We say like, stop apologizing for existing, because a lot of the time we do apologize for so much that it's just natural. It's like, and we don't catch ourselves a lot of the time with that. And so it's a good reminder, like if I'm about to say I'm sorry because I am feeling burnt out, that's not a thing to apologize for. You're burnt out because you're doing a lot. And even if you're, struggling, like I said, to get out of bed, you don't need to apologize for that. We just need to figure out a plan and get yourself in the right mental space in whatever capacity that is, and ask for help. Always ask for help if you need it. It's never shameful. It's never weak.
Yeah, I'm gonna tear up. Like that was awesome, because I think there's so many people that need to hear that. Like there's so many young people who are constantly like, it's like the hustle generation, right? And so like you constantly need to be working and working and working and like showing off like all the things you're doing, and like they never see the other side of it. Like what work went into it, or what emotions and like the different struggles that people went through it. And I think it's super important that we start like talking about like, hey, it's okay to feel burnt out, and it's okay to, like, I love what you said, stop apologizing for existing, because it's so true. Like I catch myself doing it a lot, and I know a lot of people who also do. And so it's just like, don't apologize. Like,
yeah,
please
I
don't.
mean, it's just like a natural thing that's been ingrained in us, because it's funny. I feel like the millennial generation is the like, we're the no worries generation. Instead of saying you're welcome, I am always saying no worries, don't worry about it, because I don't want anybody to like feel bad that, you know, that I did something for them, that they did something for me. Like, it's because I want to, you know, I want to help. And you shouldn't apologize because somebody is helping you, you know, or apologize that you like don't have enough left in you. Like, it's okay. Take a break. Okay. Go camping, go get lost in the woods for a week if you need to, or go, you know, do whatever like will, you know, fill you back up. Because I don't think people do that enough. Like, I don't think that we really consider like the things that make us feel good. This is something that I've like really learned over the past couple of years, just going through my own, you know, journey through therapy and, you know, medication, things like that. I was like, you know, why don't I like work out enough? Why don't I cook enough for myself? You know, why don't I clean enough? I realize it's because I feel like I have to. Like, I feel like if I don't, I'm going to get in trouble or something. But really, I was like, that I don't have to do anything, you know? But if I do this, if I wash the dishes and clean them, then like, I don't have to worry about like not having a clean plate. If I take a shower, I'm going to feel amazing after, because I'm just going to feel so refreshed. And if I take the day off from work today and just sit in bed and binge watch Netflix, then I give my mind a break from thinking about a million different things, you know? So it's like trying to change that mentality of like doing things out of obligation, but doing it because it is going to lead to something that is going to make you feel good, or, you know, helping others, you know, is going to make somebody else's life better, and that'll help make you feel good. So I don't know, that's just something that I've kind of like tried to embed into my own like reasons for doing things. So
this is a side question, but I know with myself and some people here at Revision, like, what would you say to people who feel guilty for staying in bed all day, or staying like watching Netflix, or getting takeout because you really don't want to cook, or like different things like that? Like, just feeling like, oh, I really should have. And like, I know you talked about like the mentality, but as far as people who feel like they need to work all the time, and that like their worthiness is in their work, like, what would you say to people like that?
Yeah, so I would just say that this whole idea of constantly needing to work, well, when are you ever going to enjoy life? And it's great to enjoy your work. You know, I enjoy my work, but I also need a break, you know? So if you find yourself feeling like, I just need a day to lay in bed all day, or, and feel guilty, ask yourself, why do you feel guilty for that? Who's making you feel guilty for that? And why? Is it because you're not doing what they're doing? You know, you can only control what you're doing. You can't control anybody else. And I feel like that's something that's difficult. And I'm speaking from personal experience, because I'm not like a mental health professional, but in my personal experience, I have felt guilty for, you know, like not having things like cleaned up in time for when my boyfriend gets home, or getting this one task done on the day it's due. But then I'm like, well, maybe that's because I try to think, well, why do I feel guilty? Am I doing my best? And if yes, I feel like we're all like just trying to do our best. And sometimes our best just looks like giving yourself the grace to just lay in bed all day. You know, is that going to happen every single day? Maybe sometimes it will for like a week straight, but do you have a desire for a change? Like, do you have a desire to do that for the rest of your life? Most of us will say no. And so that's when we have to have, I guess the confidence or the grace for yourself to ask for help and say like, well, where do I start? Maybe just doing a virtual appointment with a therapist while you're in bed is where you start, and maybe
Right.
that'll like give you the motivation to get up the next day and just like put some water on your face. And it can be like those little steps at a time, but letting go of that guilt starts with you asking, well, why do I feel guilty? Like, who is making me feel guilty? And really, I should just think about like what I need. What do you need? Not, well, I need to make money so that I can do this for this person, for that. You got to think about, your needs first, because if you don't take care of your own needs, then you can't take care of others, but also taking care of yourself one step at a time, however big or small those steps are going to lead to, hopefully you being happy. And when you're happy, then it's effortless to continue that cycle, to help others. You're happy to help others. At least from my perspective, like from my own experience, that's what I've like learned, in the past couple of years. Just that's what helps me. Because I have always held on to a lot of guilt for not doing certain things. And part of that comes from my own personal trauma, but it's really just knowing my bandwidth and understanding when I have nothing left to give, like I just need to take the time for myself and give that to myself. So yeah, that's
really, really good. Yes, absolutely. Like, absolutely. Because there's a lot of people, like I was listening to one of the Aloha podcasts, and one of the guys on there said, so when you're on an airplane, you need to put your mask on before you help other people. And I think that's the easiest way to say it. Because yeah, it's a lot. And don't feel like you need to do all of it at once. And it's okay to take personal days. Like, I love everything you said. And like, it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, if you have intention behind, your actions, whether that intention's for yourself or for others, and like I said, and you're doing your best, then that's all that anybody could ask for. And that's all that you should ask for yourself. Like, again, your best isn't everybody else's best. So,
absolutely. Yeah. That's definitely something you have to remind yourself of, because it can definitely become a lot. So with with you being a part of the graphics team at Aloha, how do you feel like the graphics you guys create has impacted the way that people now speak about mental health, or that you hope has impacted the way that people think and perceive it? I know it's kind of a heavy question, but
I guess it's interesting because, like, I don't even like saying this necessarily, but it seems like right now, the talk around mental health is a like progressing trend. And I hate calling it a trend, because I don't even want to say trend, because trends come and go, right? It feels like this is sticking, and people are finally becoming more conscious of like giving grace to mental health. And so more and more when I'm like scrolling through Instagram, and that could be because of the algorithms and, in my job, but I do see, really interesting and creative graphics that are just like, it's okay to not be okay, and just quotes that are designed in a really funky, cool way. It's like, from our perspective, when we're looking at inspiration, we want to feel that our designs and our merch kind of continues to evolve with trends in the, like, I guess, fashion industry, the low fashion, casual fashion industry, to be eye-catching, because, it has to at least be eye-catching to start with to get heads turned. But it has like two levels to it. So primarily when we're creating, whether it's a t-shirt or something for digital, like our number one goal is to have the quote or the phrase stand out. Like that is the number one thing, is that we want to get across, is that our supporters are seeing the words and connecting the meaning of that. And then to add like the visual aspect of like aesthetics to it, it's something that people proudly wear because of the meaning, but also it fits into their wardrobe, it fits into their style. It's eye-catching, and it makes you want to stop in your tracks and find out more. So there are those two aspects to it. We're not, I guess we definitely have just slapped like a phrase onto a shirt, but that's intentional too. It's not like, okay, well, let's just do that. It's because like, okay, let's, for instance, not this shirt in particular, but we do have another shirt that says "Hope is Defiant" in big white letters, and it's just on a black shirt, white letters. You cannot miss it. And the cool thing about that sort of like experience is that you can see that from far away. So there's intentionality behind the things that we create. It's not just about aesthetics. It's not just about putting a phrase out there. It's about more of the experience of like how people come across it and what they do with that moving forward. When it comes to our events, like we think a lot about like how people at, festivals or general events are going to look at our merch and be able to use it right away. Usually at events we have bracelets, we have t-shirts, we'll even have books sometimes, but is it like, we're thinking like this is something that they could use right away. They could put the bracelet on, the t-shirt on, they could read the book when they're at their camp after everything, and they need a break, even at festivals, you need a break. So I don't know if I've like gotten away from the question originally, if we want to reel it back in. But yeah.
No, I think that's super important. And so like with Aloha, how, like, is it difficult to stay on trend? Because are you, with graphics and everything, do you spend most of your time on social media when you're off work or on work? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you guys define, like, okay, this is trendy right now, and like, now that we're moving to this thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know. I think because, we are graphic designers, but we're also artists in our own way. It's really interesting, actually. So there's James Likeness is our creative director, Alex Jones is our senior graphic designer, and then there's me. And we each have like our own kind of style with our designs. And you could put like a design from each of us in front of our staff, and they can pick out like who made what, which is really fun to me. So at the end of the day, like we're still like excited about like art. We're still artists. We still love seeing like really cool stuff. So yeah, I do find myself even outside of work, I'm always finding inspiration, even like unintentionally, and I'll save it. I'm like, ooh, that's really cool. I'd love to try that with a phrase, or maybe those colors are really nice. Like that's just a natural thing for me. And I'm sure for Alex and James as well. So perhaps that's just like a thing for designers and artists, is that you're always like finding inspiration around you, and whether you realize it or not, it's going to translate into what you create in some form by being inspired by it. And so I guess to answer your question about how do we stay like on trend, I mean, we are always like trying to see, like, we'll look at other brands and just see like directions that things are going into, and also looking at like what we like just as people. Like I really enjoy the process when I'm creating something that I really like, and that sounds kind of like, I don't know. Like I said, we are our own supporters as well. Like we are the people that we, target. And so I think that's kind of nice to have that, I don't know, advantage in a way, because I'm like, I really want to wear that. I can't wait for that shirt to be printed because I want to put that on. Because it just feels like I'm a t-shirt gal, so I am always excited about a new shirt coming out because I can just add it to my collection, which is pretty much everything I own. But it's because I enjoy it. It's like I don't feel like I have to wear our shirts. It's just like I really enjoy wearing them. Like even this one. This is like one of my favorite Taloha shirts because I love the colors. I love the light purple on black, and it's just really comfortable. And so those are things that we get to consider every day, is like, is this something that people are going to feel good in? And also like we have people telling us like, I bought this shirt 15 years ago and I still like, I'm at the point where I need to replace it, or I have like my whole closet's your shirts. And that just like is so awesome to hear, that people just genuinely love the designs, but they also, love the sentiment that goes with that. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool. And like, I feel like it's really hard to stay on trend and stay consistent with your branding, and like it's hard work. And so like hands off to you guys, like that is incredible, because it's a lot to stay up with what's going on and also trying to incorporate it into your own mission and like, okay, how can this go into like what we want to communicate? And so as far as like with your own experience with mental health, how do you think that influences the way that you create designs and go through the creative process? Like, do you often see like, or have the advantage of saying like, okay, these are my triggers, I know to avoid using these designs, or how does that work?
No, I'd say primarily I try to just think about it in general. I don't necessarily think like, oh, what's going to offend me or trigger me. Because I think it's important just to be aware of others, be aware of like how our supporters perceive, the things that we put out, because we, one of our goals is to provide a safe space, and we don't want to interrupt that in any way. We want to always maintain that sort of space. And I guess that's kind of the mentality I go with in it, is like, how do I continue to uphold our space digitally and, physically as a very like inviting and welcome and safe, comfortable space. Because that does include me as like someone, with my own like mental health experience. How does it continue to feel like a good space for myself? I think that's just in the back of my mind. I maintain that. But also like an important thing to mention is that, yes, we do sell merchandise. Yes, we do have an online store, but we're not just a clothing brand. We are a nonprofit organization first. We're, mental health is our number one concern and our number one mission, to provide resources and provide that, safe space to talk about things that do feel difficult, and provide that hope to others to continue to feel safe. So that really comes first. I mean, the clothing aspect of it is just to further that mission. And I guess I'm just trying to think, like, a lot of the time people they'll purchase things because of the phrases that exist on the shirt, but also because all of our profits from our merch go right into our organization and help us invest in treatment and recovery. And I feel like that is such a big point, like, to tell people that, I know it's like it can be financially difficult to get the help that you need and deserve. And part of our mission is to take that part of the pain away, as much as we can. And what helps us do that is selling merch. So there's so many like functions of every part of our organization that just go back into our main purpose of, presenting hope and finding help.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I know I'm saying that after every single answer, but it really is, because like with Taloha, could you speak on specifically with the scholarship opportunities that you guys have?
Yeah, so we do offer scholarships and grants, and we have an application process on our website, twloha.com. And there you can apply for assistance based off of what you're looking for. And we do have a Find Help director, Bree, who helps you work through that process and will help guide you through that too. But that, the scholarships and grants exist to, help you get into the sessions that you need for therapy, or if you need to get into, inpatient or group therapy, or just whatever your needs are, it exists to provide that assistance. Otherwise, that insurance either doesn't pay for, or if you, don't have insurance, because that is like the main reason why a lot of people don't get help, is because they can't afford it, which is just like terribly unfortunate. Like it really shouldn't even be a thing,
Yeah.
It's something that anyone and everyone should have access to. And that's, our goal is to provide that as best as we can, and give people the access that they need. So yeah, I totally recommend it. I will even say, like, I am a recipient of one of the scholarships. Like when I, was going through a rough patch, and when I moved, I actually had some issues with my insurance, and my company helped me get into therapy, and they, really helped with the whole process of that. It wasn't difficult. They contacted my therapist and they figured it all out. It just like took a lot of stress off of my shoulders, and the fact that it was that they valued, me being able to do that. That's another thing. Like my Taloha really like pushes for employees to, get the help that we need to, because otherwise we're just hypocrites, right? Like it's for everybody. And that is like kind of even a part of our job is like, we try to live by the words that we put out there, and try to maintain that. So I totally recommend it. I recommend checking it out. And we also do, like, when we invest into treatment and recovery, but we also do donate some profits to other organizations, such as like the Trevor Project. And there's been, the other one is the Trans Lifeline. We have a lot of partnerships with other nonprofits. So we try to, do what we can to also help those as well.
Absolutely. So what's next for yourself and your role at Taloha? Is there like anything that you want to continue to do or want to do within the next, I don't know, year or something?
I mean, that's a good question. I love where I'm at, and I'm constantly growing as a designer and as an individual. I recently I'm a manager for an intern. I haven't done that before. So that's been a really awesome experience of working with a design intern. And also that experience alone has taught me a lot about myself, because I remember being in her shoes. I remember being that intern, not for Taloha, but just the feelings that come with that, and the imposter syndrome that comes with that, the understanding your worth that comes with that, and a lot of the advice that I try to give to her in my own way is just the things that I wanted to hear when I was an intern, when I was a younger designer, just trying to figure it out how this world worked. And it feels good to be able to be that source for somebody. That was what I really needed. And so I just hope that kind of helps her when she gets to, 5-6 years down the road, and hopefully is not struggling with all that pressure and all the questioning yourself as much as I did. So yeah, it's nice to be an advocate for someone that you can really relate to. And I guess as for anything else coming, part of what I really love about my job and being a creative person is they give us a lot of creative freedom to explore different ideas. And I'm a screen printer as well, and they let me screen print t-shirts and tote bags at a warehouse event, and I was that's so cool. I love having the hands-on sort of experiences like that, where I can get out of the computer screen and just do something physical like that. I also do a lot of photography for Taloha, so that's a nice change of pace as well, being able to work with models and with people, because I work remotely normally, so it's nice when I can be around people and kind of have that camaraderie. So I guess I am just gonna keep growing and keep working and keep thinking of new cool things for Taloha and see how we evolve from there. So yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And so you said that you are working with an intern right now. So if you could give advice to somebody who may potentially think about interning with Taloha, or either just in general trying to get into graphic design, what would you say to them?
Okay, so the first part of your question about interning, specifically, if you are interested in interning for Taloha, I say go for it. We are not specific to just students in college. Anybody and everyone is welcome to apply. It's an experience that we open to the public, and I totally recommend it. It's a great program. And then for people who are looking into any young person trying to get into graphic design, I mean, I didn't start just I didn't graduate from high school going I'm going to be a graphic designer. It was very much a journey of figuring out. I knew Photoshop in high school, and I didn't even I was still oh, this is neat that I could do this on my computer. That opened a lot of things up for me. But what I love about graphic design is as an artist, I love creating with a purpose and with a function. That's just me. But I feel like graphic design really like gave me that opportunity to be able to create, product design, digital designs. They are communicating a clear idea. And, fine art does that too. And it just depends on the artist. But when it comes to like designing for a specific, like tangible cause, I personally really enjoy that process. So I guess if you want to start getting into graphic design, especially if you're still in high school, I'd say like start learning Adobe products, programs, and look at different designers currently and see what you like, and just experiment with like what you could potentially do with it. I mean, there's so much potential with graphic design. You could make endless things. Like it's so fun for me. Like I like to paint, and I like to play with clay. I like to do all of the like tangible hand forms of art. Like I did a lot of that in college. I don't know. What do you even call that? That was a silly way of saying that. But you can combine that with graphic design too. It's a mixed media form of art. Like I will scan things in that I paint. I'll paint like watercolor and I'll scan it in, and then I'll do something with my iPad on Procreate, and then I'll print that out and scan it again. Or maybe I'll like I don't know. That's the fun part for me. I think you could see, like, I'm just like getting excited thinking about it, because I can just like take a lot of different elements and just like create something really interesting and hopefully captivating, and then put it out there to have a meaning, which is to like, present hope to somebody and to be eye-catching for someone to like want to save it as their phone background, or wear our shirts every single day and like literally have people come up to me and say like, I really like that. That's really nice to like read that. Like, we have a mask that says "You matter" on it. It's like a smiley face. And I wore that during the pandemic, and I wore it into like a Best Buy, and the employee like looked at me and he's like, "That's really nice. Like that means a lot to me to read that." And I was just like, that's great. Like, that's literally like, that's like what we're here for. That's why we do this. It's why I do this. It's just, it's constantly giving back. So it's a fun thing.
Right. It's not necessarily about like the tedious, like, oh, I have to get X amount of designs done. It's something bigger than that. And
oh yeah, it's so much bigger than that.
So
it's like,
is there? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, one of the things I say to my intern is like, just have fun with it. Like, we're gonna create bad designs. There's gonna be bad stuff. That's just like, I'm just like, I don't even know how I made that, but it's bad. But you can't get to like the stuff that's really great unless you work through all of the bad stuff. And that's even like a metaphor for like mental health. There's gonna be like turmoil that you have to work through, and junk that needs to get figured out to get to like the really, really great spot. And it will happen. Like, it will happen. I like to think about like, if I'm working through a project that I know is it's probably going to take like 20 hours, and it's tedious and it's a lot, but I'm like, you know what? By this time next week, this is going to be done and it's going to feel awesome. And I get to that point next week and I'm like, I was right. Like, it did happen. Like, no matter what, you will get to that next point, and you're going to look back and be like, I did it. Like, I did it. And yeah, it was hard. And at points I just wanted to give up, but like, it just took process, and I did it, and here we are, and I feel great. So.
Right. Right. And people are going to see your your bad designs though and just be like, how did they make that? And I think that also
Oh no, they
goes
don't see that.
through.
They don't see that.
Oh
No.
my God.
No, they don't see that. Well, I mean, like sometimes there are going to be like, yeah, I mean, there are definitely like designs that have gone out that I'm like, that's not my favorite. I'm not stoked about that. But more of all, it's more like just, you know, having your sketchbook and just drawing and drawing and drawing and practicing, and then you're like, okay, I finally got through all of that stuff that's just doodles and weirdness. Now we can think clearly now. I can think clearly.
Absolutely.
So,
like,
yeah.
Not every day as a creative person is going to be your best creative day ever.
Yeah. Once you accept that mentality, there you will find success.
Yes. Like, stop being so hard on yourself. Like, you're not if there's something that you could tell to yourself, like as a younger designer, what would you say to somebody who's like so like I'm in this creative rut, I don't know what to do, like da 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 da, like
Yeah, well, a lot of the time it's just like we put so much extra pressure on ourselves that is so unnecessary. And so I would just tell my younger self, because she did it, she definitely did it, like, hey, like, you just have fun with it. That's really like, just enjoy the process of learning and like figuring it out, because it's like a challenge in its own, but like challenges can be fun. Gosh, I would put so much, like if I went back to college now, like with who I am now, I'd be so awesome. I'd be so awesome just because I would like not be so hard on myself. Like, I think part of it is like I would put so much pressure that I would like literally blank out. I'd have like artist blocks so bad because it had to be so perfect, but it doesn't. That's part of what I really love about like digital is that, you know, you create, you know, a post, it goes up on a Monday, and then it has its moment, and then we move on and we do something else. It's like, it doesn't have to be the best all the time. It doesn't have to be like, and whose standards are those anyway? Like, why does it have to be the most amazing thing ever? Like, why can't it just exist as being like good? Okay. Because you can always just do better next time. Like, you don't know until you actually just try and be honest with yourself. Like, okay, well, that wasn't great, but you know what? We have other opportunities to be better. And seriously, like, absolutely, life's too short to always try to like strive for perfection. It's like, sometimes I just want to like not do something that's great. Just to be like, you know what? Got the job done. And now I can set my mentality to like do something that is really more of a passion project and like really go ham on it and really enjoy the process too. Because it's not just about the outcome, it's about the process. Like, enjoy the journey, you know, like they say, enjoy the journey, not just for the destination. So,
right. So
I was ranting a little bit there.
No, you're fine. So if you could leave the audience with some words of wisdom, whether it be anything we've talked about today, what's like one thing you want them to remember?
Remember that help is real and hope is real. And I'm not just saying that because that's what we say. It is a very real thing. If you hold on to hope, then there's always potential for, you know, better days. And if you want help and you truly desire, it is there for you. We're here to support you. And most of all, don't let your motivation be obligation. Let motivation be personal well-being and happiness. Seriously.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, Sabrina, and I am so happy that I can seriously consider you somebody that's very, very close to my heart after this interview. And
Mikayla, it's been an absolute joy. It's been so great to talk to you.
It's been amazing.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And I really, really hope you guys take all of this advice and really digest it slowly, because I will definitely be doing the same. And it has been amazing to talk with somebody who's been in the industry for quite some time and can help us all relate and learn different things just about ourselves and our daily struggles. I really do appreciate your time.
Of course. I'm happy to, try to share whatever words of wisdom I have, but also to, come on your podcast and talk more about what we're trying to do with To Write Love, because we are really a team that's passionate about our initiative, and it's not a facade. I promise you, it is such a real thing. And we're also passionate about, being able to reach out to other people and show them that we exist and we're here to support you. And we're so happy that you exist. Seriously.
So if people want to learn more information about To Write Love on Our Arms, where can they find that?
Definitely. So you can go to our website. It's twloha.com, TWLOHA. You can also find us on Instagram. We have a TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, all the social channels. We even have a Twitch and a Discord too. So there's something for everyone in every form that you'd like to get involved in. So yeah.
And if they want to follow you?
I am on Instagram. I go by, I think my Instagram handle is iamsabrina.co. So you're welcome to follow me. But if you ever need to get in touch or you want to reach out to Write Love, you can always email us at info@twaloha.com.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Sabrina. And that is about all we got left for today. And that's it.
Fantastic. Thank you again. This has been amazing.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for listening to this Young Creatives podcast. As always, you can tune in bi-weekly. Episodes released Friday at 8 a.m. And we hope to see you guys on the next episode.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.